When I told Adrian I wanted to break up, his fraternity brothers laughed at me. Go home and marry somebody, then. Quit clinging to Casey. I nodded quietly and packed. I'm going home to do exactly that, get married. Adrian didn't take me seriously, he knew I wouldn't, because I'd sworn I'd marry no one but him. In the end, though, I did marry, and he begged like a madman for me to look at him. When I went to the rooftop lounge looking for Julian, Adrian was there too. Well, A-State, called it. She's like a puppy that can't quit its owner, barely 2 weeks and she's already back, face plastered to your shoe. Mason, Adrian's best friend, crowed. Everyone knew I was crazy about Adrian. For 3 years I orbited him while each new girlfriend tried to knock me out of orbit. This time he handed my hard-won brand ambassadorship to his latest fling. To prep for the shoot I'd dropped 10 pounds in 2 weeks, drilling ballet bar day and night, only to hear bad fit and watch my work erased. When I confronted him, Adrian had an arm around the girl, shrugging. She's just a kid throwing a tantrum. One campaign, Sienna. You've been with me forever, don't pick on a child. The girl lifted her eyes, smirking. Sis, I only told Casey I wanted it. Had no idea you bled for it. For the first time I felt hollow. In 5 years we'd done everything couples do. At the peak of passion he'd kissed me and whispered, Erwan, let's make a baby. The next day, Mason asked if his family would ever let him marry an actress. Mason chuckled, so you yanked Chiyu off Palace Heart Lock because of the kissing scenes? I didn't catch Adrian's answer, it felt like fingers squeezing the air out of my lungs. I surfaced from the memory and looked at Adrian. He lounged on the banquette, legs crossed, smile perfect. Weren't you going home to marry? Mason snorted. Casey, she's so whipped, who would marry her? Adrian lifted a brow, palm open. If you've thought it through, quit the drama. Come here, I'm not here for you. I met his gaze and said it slowly. Really? He arched that brow again, arms wide. Who else do you know in this room? My glance swept the crowd, every face wore the same hungry grin, waiting for me to crash. At last I spotted the man in the corner, idly swirling his glass, bangs hiding his eyes. When he looked up his lazy smile gave off no warmth. Mason stepped between us, voice chilled. Casey invited him, tonight he finally showed. Screw this up and Casey will really drop you. Adrian grabbed my wrist, voice suddenly low. I'll let you toy with anything except this. I shook him off and walked to Julian, stopping in front of him. He set his glass down, eyes flicking over me. Problem? Your mother's ill. She wants you home, I said, each word deliberate. Julian and I are secretly married, the circle still has no idea. Julian rose, slipping an arm around my waist, a smile threading his low voice. Let's go. The room went still, Adrian's stare froze on our joined hands. Someone muttered, last time she dumped Casey she said if she had to be a dirty secret anyway, she might as well pick the rich guy, guess she followed through. Mason stared after me, stunned. She actually let someone other than Casey touch her? She knows he's got that used goods rule. In the car I sat beside Julian while he scrolled his phone, lashes down, the line of his throat sharp. He assumes I married for money, he dislikes me for it. My father's company had just imploded and I needed cash. Our marriage was arranged years ago by our families when we were prep school best friends. Later my family slid downhill, he left for France and we lost touch. The Vance empire soared, becoming Riverdale's top dynasty. Yet he honored the old promise and married me. My phone buzzed, a trending tabloid headline. Laugh alert, washed up starlet writes love letter to Sterling CEO Adrian. I remembered the lines I'd penned, something about 3 a.m. stars, the sea's lament, midsummer thrills, it even rhymed. Adrian wouldn't bother leaking it, probably some petty girlfriend. I glanced sideways, Julian was reading the same headline, explains the sudden chill fogging the windows. I wiped sweat from my temple, groping for small talk. What should I cook tonight? He gave a soft laugh without looking up. With prose like that, how did the liberal arts valedictorian title slip past you? I cleared my throat. I was STEM valedictorian. His gaze slid from the night dark glass to me. Who asked? I fished out my phone, pulled up the year's rankings. See? That name, same as mine. My school hung a banner, He glanced, then looked away, drawling, want a medal? He lost interest, the rolls eased through the gates of Vance Hill Manor where Uncle waited on the steps. Staring at my screen, I braced for online mockery, but the second I tapped the tag, the headline vanished. This app is owned by the Vance family. If they wanted to scrub a trending tabloid headline, it would take a single click. Could he be the one behind it? The moment I stepped out of the car, Uncle ushered us toward Eleanor's suite. Inside, a semicircle of doctors stood at the foot of the bed, every face grim. "Auntie, why are there so many doctors? Are you okay?" I rushed forward, voice shaking. When I'd left this morning, she hadn't looked this frail. She broke into a rattling cough, then sighed, "I might not have long to live." I froze. My head swiveled toward Julian. He lounged against the doorframe, expression bored. Eleanor motioned him over with frantic waves, seized my hand, and laid it over his. "My only wish left is to hear someone call me Grandma." "Grandma," Julian drawled, lazy as ever. "You little punk." His mother punched his chest. "Do you want me to die mad?" "I didn't ask you to call me Grandma." Julian nodded as if enlightened. "One time isn't enough? I can record a loop for you, set it on repeat." "You," Eleanor whipped her face away. "I should never have given birth to a brat like you." I stared, stunned. Had he always been this infuriating? Eleanor swung her gaze back to me and clasped my fingers. "Tell me, if you two don't give me a grandchild, who'll inherit all this? Then let me lose the fortune right now and solve the problem," Julian murmured, voice velvet smooth. "Get out." Julian looked satisfied, pivoted, and led me away. Back in the car, I turned to him. "So we're going home?" Hillside Manor was Eleanor's residence. Julian rarely stayed there. He lifted a brow, cool and detached. "There's a party." "You're coming." "Me?" I blinked. I didn't know any of his friends. Why drag me along? Puzzled, I nodded anyway. The Rolls-Royce glided to a stop beneath the porte-cochere of Riverdale's grandest five-star hotel. He tossed the keys to the valet and, once the car vanished toward the underground garage, I realized I'd left my clutch. "I'll fetch it. Wait upstairs," Julian said, signaling a server to escort me. At the entrance to the private dining salon, I dismissed the attendant. I pushed the door open, and every face inside was familiar. Adrian. Mason. The whole old crew. The festive air crystallized into ice. Adrian's gaze swept over me, chilling degree by degree. A beat of silence, then Mason snickered. "Casey, the girl just can't quit you, followed you all the way here." Before I could react, a lilting female voice intruded. "State, you never mentioned this little friend." "Who is she?" I glanced up. Flawless makeup, seven-figure outfit, Hannah, heiress to sterling real estate, if my gossip memory served. Mason took a slow sip of whiskey, his mocking stare pinning me. "Private circle tonight, babe." Invitation list must have missed your name. Listening to the chorus of jabs, Hannah's lips curled. "If she's a friend of yours, Casey, fine by me. Still, I'm curious, why wasn't she invited to our engagement next month?" My gaze snagged on the ring flashing on Adrian's hand. I lowered my eyes. Hannah's smile sharpened. "Sam, if you're free, why not stay and help serve the courses?" Mason chuckled at the server. "Fetch her a uniform, can't let our superstar ruin that pretty dress." The girl shot me a sympathetic look before nodding. "Yes, sir." Mason turned back to Hannah, fawning. "Jamie, our Sienna here was valedictorian of her dance conservatory, maybe she'll perform for you." Hannah lifted a brow, amused. "I'd be honored," she purred, silk laced with venom. Every pair of eyes weighed on me, as though I were the evening's hired entertainment. "Enough," Adrian snapped. The room fell mute. He yanked me into the corridor, fury darkening his face. "You walked away. Now you chase me here? Haven't you made enough scenes?" I jerked free. "I'm not here for you." Through the cracked door their voices leaked out. "Thinks she's Mrs. Vance now that she's writing Julian? Please, he's just playing. Bet she's scripting some rom-com app fantasy." Casey on his knees while Julian throws money at her. Someone uninstall tomato novels from her phone. Each barb landed like a splinter. I lifted my eyes to Adrian. "Your friends used to say the same, and you never said a word for me. Was any of it untrue?" He answered, voice glacial. I smiled, thin, brittle, and spoke with slow precision. "Adrian, I don't love you anymore." He hesitated, then stepped closer. "So who will you love?" I met his stare, word by deliberate word. "Anyone, but you." His eyes narrowed, he banked the flare of rage. "Fine. Send me an invitation to your wedding. He strode back inside without a backward glance. I rubbed the red bracelet of fingerprints on my wrist and watched the door glide shut. The sweet soundproofing swallowed every laugh inside, but I could imagine them, mocking the climber who dared dream of marble halls and gold rings. What are you doing out here? A cool voice floated over my shoulder. I looked up. Julian. When our eyes met, he read the telltale shimmer in mine, pressed my purse into my hand, and said simply, "Go fix your makeup." Then he stepped past me and pushed the door open. Mason's laughing greeting rang out. "Quinn, we've been waiting. Nobody dared touch a chopstick without you." The same people who had regarded me like roadside trash now beamed, obsequious and warm. Hannah rose gracefully, her smile perfectly composed, and produced a gift from behind her back. Quinn promised he'd bring his wife tonight, so I made a special trip to France for this. I do hope she likes the diamond ring. Mason chimed in at once. Which family's daughter is your wife, Quinn? How come we've never heard of her? Did she just finish studying abroad? Adrian lifted his eyes and said flatly, "She's an actress." The word fell like a stone, the table fell into a brief, brittle hush. When Adrian heard the word actress, his head came up, then dropped again just as fast, the storm in his gaze wiped clean in an instant. Seeing the awkward pause, Mason hurried to laugh it off. Acting must be your wife's hobby, then. Her family background has to be impeccable to match Quinn. Julian lifted his wineglass, took a measured sip of red, and answered in a voice neither warm nor cold. I don't need her connections, so her pedigree is irrelevant. Loving her is enough. His tone was quiet, yet it cracked like a whip, every syllable reaching my ears. I looked at myself in the mirror, reapplied my lipstick, drew a steadying breath, then turned and walked to the door. My entrance snapped the chatter clean off. Mason lost his patience. Why are you here again? Can't shake you off like a bad rash? Hannah inhaled, her breathing barely caging her fury. Waiter, remove her. Next time don't let just anyone in. Adrian hid the flicker of disgust in his eyes and stepped forward to grab me, but Julian rose a second earlier, pulled me to his side, and curved his mouth in a faint smile. Allow me to introduce my wife, Sienna. Adrian's hand froze midair, he swiveled toward Julian in disbelief. Mason gaped. No way. Julian seated me beside him, poured me wine unhurriedly, and said, "The West Side parcel Adrian wants so badly? My wife will handle it, I'm giving her the project to cut her teeth on." Adrian's downcast eyes gave nothing away, but his face darkened ominously. Mason stammered, "Billions in development as a training exercise?" Rowan's tone stayed cool. "Small fry only wastes my wife's time." I started to speak, but Adrian seized my wrist, his gaze glacial. "What exactly is between you two?" I jerked free, refusing to answer. Adrian pressed, "Answer me." Riley tucked me against him as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Didn't I make it clear? She is my wife. At the word wife, Adrian's pupils contracted, control splintered across his face. What did you say, wife? If English fails you, call a translator. If you're deaf, call a doctor. If you're slow, hit record and loop it. Julian enunciated every word like a blade. Whispers rustled around us. She really traded up, no wonder she dumped Adrian. But I heard she adored Morgan. The Vance family owns half of Riverdale's economy, operations nationwide, world-class wealth. The Sterlings can't touch that. Julian stood and raised his glass. You'll all be invited to our wedding. Please enjoy the evening, my wife and I are leaving. With that, he guided me out. Adrian remained rooted long after we'd disappeared down the corridor. In the back of the rolls, I stared at Julian, bewildered. He didn't even like me, yet tonight he'd shielded me. Are you? I began, but the moment I met those ice blue eyes the words jammed in my throat. He slanted a look at me, then away. Seconds later my phone chimed. $1 million had hit my account. I blinked at him. You sent that? Julian arched a brow. Start a sentence you won't finish, pay per syllable, call it VIP access. I swallowed. Do you, like me? A strange hush filled the cabin. Crap, did I really just say that? The car eased through the gates of Vance Hill Manor, and I heard Julian give a soft, possibly sardonic chuckle. The privacy partition rose with a muted whir, alarm bells rang, every romance I'd ever read told me nothing good happens when the divider goes up. You wanted an answer? His long fingers tipped my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze. Then listen carefully. His lips found mine before my mind could catch up, warm breath brushing my ear. Sienna, I've loved you for 10 years, you're only noticing now? 10? We've known each other less than a year. The protest died as his kiss deepened, fierce and consuming. The more I struggled, the tighter he held me, until oxygen blurred and he finally released me. I sagged against the seat, gulping air. Silence pulsed between us. I opened my mouth, he said nothing, simply hit the door release and stepped out. I sat there, stunned. He's angry? I'm the one who should be furious. I trailed him inside. Aunt Wang met us with a steaming cup of ginger tea. Sir, the night's cold, warm yourself. Julian took it and handed it straight to me. Startled, I blurted, Alex. He didn't reply, just climbed the stairs, still mad. I headed for my own room, but Aunt Wang blocked me, puzzled. Madam, you and the master sleep separately? I froze, Aunt Wang reported to Eleanor. I backpedaled fast. No, of course not. We sleep together every night, wrapped around each other like ivy, can't pry us apart. I prattled my way upward, felt her eyes still on me, and reluctantly pushed open his door just as Julian pulled his shirt over his head. He froze mid-motion, turned his head, and pinned me with a stare so cold it could have iced the penthouse windows. What do you want? I tipped my chin up, eye level with the chiseled slabs of his chest, the cut grooves of his abs, wiped the corner of my mouth on the back of my hand, and squared my shoulders. We're husband and wife. Shouldn't we share a bed? He shrugged into his shirt, flicked one dismissive glance at me, and walked into the bathroom without a word. I yanked open the nightstand drawer hunting for the AC remote, but instead a single envelope fluttered to the carpet. The postmark date said it had been waiting more than 10 years, yet someone had preserved it. The paper hadn't yellowed, every loop of ink still razor sharp. It was the love letter my old roommate had begged me to hand to Julian. My heart lurched. Had he believed it was actually from me? If that were true, his freak behavior the night I delivered it finally made sense. I still remember it had been a Saturday. Julian had his driver take me up to the Montclair summit where the whole city glittered below like spilled diamonds. Gorgeous view. Back then he'd looked at me with eyes so gentle they seemed liquid, but the words out of his mouth were razor blades. We're better off as study partners than lovers, at least for now. I'd frozen mid-sip on my watermelon juice and stared. Was he trying to call off our arranged engagement? The childhood betrothal had been cooked up by our grandfathers. It was a new century, and if he wanted to void it, fine. I dropped my gaze, pressed my lips together, and muttered, I get what you're saying. I spun on my heel and climbed back into the car. The wind was so strong I only caught the first syllable when he called after me, wait for me. I never heard the rest. After that he left for France. He still texted, sent photos of Parisian rooftops and lavender fields, but I never answered. Done reminiscing? A glacial voice snapped me back to the present. My body jolted, the envelope slipped from my fingers as I spun around. Water dripped from Julian's hair, sliding over his collarbones. Maybe he hadn't fled to France to escape me at all. I stared, confused. If you liked me, why tell me we were only study partners? Rowan let out a short laugh. You were 17. That's called statutory romance. But you still went to France, wasn't that running from me? I tipped my head back, finally asking the question that had gnawed at me for years. Julian was still irritable. I'm not the one who vanished. One day you're confessing, the next you're radio silent while I'm overseas, no replies, no calls. I thought you'd died. His righteous indignation sparked mine. You're the one who misread the situation. That love letter was from my roommate. After your weird speech that night I figured you wanted distance. A hush seemed to vacuum the room. Say that again, not you? Of course not. Mid-sentence I brushed my cheek, frowning. Why is it getting so hot in here? Hot? Julian's gaze sharpened, the irritation banked, replaced by calculation. He crossed the room, laid the back of his hand against my forehead, then swore under his breath. He jerked open the dresser, pulled out a foil blister, and slapped a pill into my palm. Take this. Tomorrow I'm sending Mrs. Brown back to my mother. I looked down and my pupils contracted. A morning after pill. So the tonic Mrs. Brown had given me earlier. The drug hit fast, the edges of my vision blurred. My arm slipped around Julian's waist of their own accord, voice turning syrupy. Julian, help me. I feel awful. His whole body locked. Do you even know what you're asking? I rolled up and sealed my mouth over his. I know, and I want it. In one fluid movement Julian flipped us. His warm breath skated across my ear as clothes puddled on the floor and he lifted me onto the bed. Darkness only made his assault more relentless. Buzz. 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 The phone vibrated against the nightstand. I fumbled it open and hit speaker. A frantic older woman's voice spilled out. Sam, Morgan's drunk and begging for your warm honey tonic. Come quick. Adrian's slurred baritone followed. Sienna, I screwed up. I'll pay, name a number that'll make you stop hating me, just come home. Sam, we all know you never stopped loving Morgan. Swallow your pride for once so the rest of us can breathe. Before I could answer, Julian clamped my wrist and bit the tender skin inside my elbow. I yelped, don't. My ragged inhale carried straight through the mic. Adrian sobered in a heartbeat. One, where are you? Are you in trouble? Julian plucked the phone from my hand and spoke into it, cool as chilled steel. She's perfectly safe. Good night, Morgan. He ended the call and tossed the handset aside. Moonlight polished the room silver. Outside, the first lazy flakes of snow drifted past the glass while heat shimmered between our bodies. Julian's mouth was descending toward mine when I clamped his shoulders, clarity rushing back. Wait, the pill's wearing off. He released me instantly and tugged the duvet up to my chin. I studied his face, recalling the interrupted call. Won't Adrian be furious? Why would I care? If he's mad, he can cry to someone else. Julian's expression was pure indifference. True, Adrian's tantrums were always aimed at me, but the bluntness stung. I pushed upright. I don't mean his feelings. Your families do business together. Will one blown deal tank the company? He paused mid-sip of water and shot me a sideways look. Ever met a billionaire? You think a single dead project kills a public conglomerate? He could lick his lips and still taste poison. I wriggled into the t-shirt he handed me, grumbling, without arranged marriages, guys like you would die single. You're the poster child for contractual wedlock. He passed me a mug of hot milk, too lazy to argue. The next morning I woke up with every muscle screaming. I reached for my phone and the first thing I saw was the trending tabloid headline: Adrian had called off his engagement to Hannah. On paper, Hannah had been perfect for him. Breaking the engagement would not only offend the Sterling family, everyone in Riverdale would brand him insane. 2 months later, Adrian's mother tracked me down and asked to meet at a cafe. The appointment was for 3 tomorrow afternoon, but lately my body felt off, and tomorrow also happened to be Julian's birthday. A hunch sent me to the hospital on my way home. The test confirmed it. I was pregnant. Julian's empire was ascending, and in all our conversations he'd never once gushed about babies. I couldn't tell if this would delight or wreck him. Still, tomorrow I'd hand him his birthday gift, and if he looked happy I'd slip in the bad news. Hopefully the timing would soften the blow. The second I walked in, she flicked a bank card across the table. Girls from your tier are all the same. Take the money and vanish from Riverdale. You're mistaken. I slid the card back. I'm getting married, then take your husband and vanish together. Irritation flashed in her eyes, as if speaking to me was a waste of oxygen. I curved my lips in a lazy smile. And if I refuse? I'll switch tactics, she said, eyes narrowing to slits. I'll make sure you and your groom have nowhere left to stand in this city, until you're forced to pack up and start over somewhere else. Pick your poison. A voice like winter steel sounded behind me. Shall I choose for her? We both spun around. Quinn. Mrs. Sterling jerked to her feet, shock flooding her face. Julian stepped closer, gaze pinned on her. Our wedding invitation was hand-delivered to Sterling Manor. Thank you for the generous gift you've already sent. She stared at me, stunned. You're marrying Julian? Yes. Julian answered before I could. It's late. Good evening. He steered me out, leaving her frozen at the table. Back at Vance Hill Manor, Julian pushed open the bathroom door, but I blocked the threshold. You first? Riley glanced at me and stepped aside. I shook my head. No, not that. He paused, suspicion flickering. Together? Of course not. I shook my head so hard it could have spun. That level of intimacy was still too much for our freshly rekindled flame. Julian leaned on the doorframe, clearly stumped. I lifted my eyes to him and spoke slowly. One piece of good news, one piece of bad. Which do you want first? He arched a brow, laughing softly as though he already knew. You got me a birthday present? How did you guess? I opened the cabinet, lifted out a wrapped box, and placed it in his hands. His mouth curved, he flipped the lid, and frowned at the neat bricks of cash. Am I so poor I need you to gift me money? I waved my hands frantically. The cash is just filler. The real gift is in the card. He opened the envelope, suspicious, and only relaxed when he spotted the ring I'd carved myself. He slipped the band free and handed the money back. The card I'll keep. Halfway to the shower he stopped. So what's the other news? I hesitated, then unfolded the crumpled positive pregnancy test and passed it over. Planning to detonate this paper bomb? He smoothed the sheet, read the result, and stilled. He glanced at my bowed head and guilty look, voice low. It's not mine. I jerked my chin up, terrified of being accused. It's yours. Relief washed over his face. Then why the criminal expression? Look at me. I bit my lip. I get it, maybe you don't want. He cut me off. You understand perfectly, next time, stop understanding. The reaction blindsided me. Not only didn't Julian hate the baby, he seemed excited for its arrival. We married in France. Every guest looked familiar, Titan investors, real estate czars I'd seen on financial channels. Adrian came, looking haggard. When his eyes met mine they softened. I heard you're pregnant. Yes. I nodded. He lifted a hand as if to touch my stomach, let it drop, voice raw. I was wrong. If only I had. There's no if. I met his gaze and spoke each word like a nail. Not anymore. His throat bobbed, he laughed bitterly. Then I wish you happiness. Same to you. I answered quietly. From this moment on, Adrian and I were strangers, and I would sprint toward the new life waiting for me. Thank you for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, please like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible tales. See you next time.